I'm Lilli Ganska, and the spiritual counselor I chose for my presentation is the Dalai Lama. Sorry about pronunciations. I tried looking them up, so I will be sharing a short biography of his life. So we'll start with his early life. So he was the 14th Dalai Lama of Tibet. Tenzin Gyatso was born on July 6, 1935 in northeastern Tibet. He was born to a farming family, and he was one of 16 children, but only 7 lived past infancy. His original name, Lamo Thondup, means wish-fulfilling goddess. At the age of 2, when he was still being called his original name, he was identified as the reincarnation of the 13th Dalai Lama. Now we'll go to his education. When he was 6, he began his monastic education. He focused on 5 major and 5 minor subjects. The major subjects were logic, Tibetan art and culture, Sanskrit, medicine, and Buddhist philosophy. These can be further divided into categories such as Prajnaparamita, which is the perfection of wisdom, Madhyamika, which is the philosophy of the middle way, Vinaya, which is the canon of monastic discipline, Abhidharma, which is metaphysics, and Paramana, which is logic and epistemology. Sorry, I'm so bad at pronouncing things. The minor subjects were poetry, music and drama, astrology, composition and phrasing, and synonyms. He sat for his final exam when he was 23 at Lhasa's Joking Temple during the Monlam Festival. He passed his final with honors and received the Geshe-la-Rampa degree, which is the highest level, and it said that it could be considered equal to a doctorate of Buddhist philosophy. Next, we move on to his life in politics. When he was about 15 years old, China invaded Tibet, and he was asked to take full political power. Just 4 years later, he went to Beijing and had peace talks with Chinese leaders such as Mao Zedong, Deng Xiaoping, Zhou Enlai. In 1959, he was forced into exile, and since then, he has been living in northern India, more specifically Dharamsala. Dalai Lama has managed to turn the Tibetan government, even though he's been in exile, into a democratic government. Now we move on to his recognition in the world. So in 1989, he won the Nobel Peace Prize. He won this because of the nonviolent struggle he was leading to liberate Tibet. He was also the first Nobel laureate whose concern for the environment was recognized. He has been to 67 countries, and those 67 countries have been on this 6th continent. He has received over 150 awards, honorary doctorates, prizes, etc. He has been awarded these things for his message of peace, nonviolence, interreligious understanding, universal responsibility, and compassion. He's also written or has co-authored over 110 books. World recognition continued. He speaks with the heads of many different religions and engages in many different religious events to promote interreligious harmony and understanding. He also speaks to modern scientists from fields of psychology, neurobiology, quantum physics, and cosmology. Because of him, there's a collab between Buddhist monks and scientists so they can help people achieve peace of mind. Now we move on to his retirement in the future. In 2011, Dalai Lama asked the Assembly of Tibetan People's Deputies to devolve his political power. At the time, he was still technically head of state. Later in March, he signed a law that transferred his power to a democratically elected leader. The dual spiritual and political authority of the Dalai Lama. The law ended the 368-year tradition that the Dalai Lamas were the spiritual and temporal head of Tibet. Since about 1969, the Dalai Lama has made sure that people know that they should be the ones deciding if the Dalai Lama's reincarnation should continue. There have been no clear guidelines, so in September 2011, clear guidelines were created so when the next Dalai Lama is found, there's no doubt or deception. He decided that when he reaches 90 years old, he will consult the high lamas of the Tibetan Buddhist tradition, the Tibetan public, and other concerned people to decide if the Dalai Lama should continue. So if they decide to keep the Dalai Lamas, the job of finding the 15th Dalai Lama will belong to the officers of the Dalai Lama's Gaden Phodrang Trust. Now we are on to the Dalai Lama's focus areas. So he focuses on compassion, the environment, religious harmony, world peace, and the people's right to choose. So he speaks with scientists, and as I said before, he was the first Nobel laureate to be recognized for speaking about the environment. He actively shows interest in other religions and respects them. He shares messages of peace, nonviolence, interreligious understanding, universal responsibility, and compassion, which all contributes to an idea of world peace. And now by saying the people's right to choose, I mean basically how he thinks that the people should choose if the tradition of making the reincarnation of the last Dalai Lama be the next Dalai Lama should continue, and also that the people of Tibet should choose their temporal head of Tibet. Now, my personal opinion, I think he's a man of peace, and all the messages that he has, well, most of his messages, I haven't read all of them, but they're very inspiring. It's really nice how he promotes harmony throughout the world. His idea of nonviolent policy is something everyone should really listen to and try. Maybe that would be nice. And it's also nice that he would like to have the people of his country decide who leads them spiritually and politically. Now here's the works cited. I used DalaiLama.com.